Well, okay. I need to start adding more content to the videos. I realize I've just been doing the mileage and workout updates and it's getting kind of boring. So the inevitable has happened here. I seem to have gotten a puncture on my TT bike. So I need to do a quick repair. Luckily it didn't really happen on the roadside. It just was a slow leak that has gotten itself where it won't hold any more air. So we're going to do a quick tutorial on how to do a tire change. Well, on my road to Kalmar, getting a flat tire or replacing a tire and tube was inevitable. But I think this is only the second or third one I've needed to do. But I'm just going to do a quick tutorial on a tire change. So this one wasn't a catastrophic blowout, it was just sort of a slow leak. I've been able to make it home each time, but then this morning I noticed the tire was completely flat, so it's in need of repair. So if you ever get a flat out on the road, make sure you pull off right away. You don't want to ride too far on a tire that's dropping pressure really fast, because you could hit something and damage your rim, certainly destroy the tire, and then also get yourself into a crash situation if it's the front tire for sure. So anyways, my tire's flat. I pulled over. First thing you want to do as you slow down is you want to drop your gears. You want to get your rear cassette into the smallest ring here, okay, the smallest one, and up front you want to shift it over to your large chain ring. And what that does is it gets the chain in line, so you can drop your tire or your wheel, your rear wheel, out of there with as little difficulty as possible with the derailleur. So that's what I'm going to do now. I've got my chain in line. I've got it in the big ring up front and the small cassette in the rear. Now what I need to do is I need to unlock my rear brake. It's a little flip mechanism over here, and what this does is open up the rear caliper so you can drop that rim and tire out between the brake pads. Then over here is my quick release. I'm going to release that, and that loosens that rear skewer, which allows me to drop the wheel on the axle out of those rear drops. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my wheel out now. So the wheel dropped out of there pretty easy. I got my chain in line, opened my brake, and now what I do is I just ensure that all the air is out of the tire. It is flat. I have a tire lever. Open that up, and then get the tire off of the rim. One simple pull there. Out comes the tube. I always carry spare tubes. I don't bother patching if I'm out on the road. So I would just wad this up, put it in my jersey, and take it with me and dispose of it. Or you can patch it if it's a patchable hole. What I do now is I'm going to run my thumb around the inside of the tire, make sure there's no objects or protruding thorns or screws, something that may have caused the flat in the first place. Give it a good cleaning, make sure it's alright. Take a quick look on the inside of the rim and make sure everything's good there. I got my new inner tube here. I put a little bit of air in it. It makes it easier to handle while you're handling it and trying to get it inserted into your tire. So insert that. One thing to notice also, depending on the type of rim you're using, you may need a different length Presta valve. They come in like 40 mil, 60 mil, and 70 mil. So if you're running deep dish wheels, make sure you have a tube that is going to make it all the way through, or else you won't be able to get that tire pumped up. That in there. So it's a little easier to work with if you put some air pressure in it like this. It helps form into the wheel a little bit, especially in the beginning here. But then you will need to let the air all the way out in order to get it all the way set into the rim. There you go. Now I just work my way down. Be careful not to pinch it on anything. You don't want to destroy a brand new tube before you even get it in the wheel. So as you make it to the very end here, you can basically roll the tire onto the rim. And there you go. Now we're ready to pump it up. I give it a good look over, make sure that the bead is all the way in the rim. You don't want to pump it up and have the tire start coming out, and then you can pop your tube or even injure your tire. I got a floor pump here that I'm going to use. I'm going to pump this up to pressure. Depending on the types of road you're riding on, you may want to adjust your tire pressure accordingly if it's rough or wet, or if you're riding on gravel or things like that. Another thing for roadside repairs is your CO2 cartridge. Know how these things work. This is a threaded version, so I would thread this into my valve, basically. Thread it in. As soon as I crank that down, that seats this CO2 cartridge into the valve, and it's basically charged at that point. So what I would do is I would seat that down, I would put it on my tire valve, and then when I release it, I'm releasing the CO2 from the canister into the tire. I don't want to do that by accident, because if I send this thing off before I get it on my tube, I've just wasted the pressure. Then I may not be able to adequately inflate my tire. So know how your CO2 cartridge and your valves work. Practice with them before you get out on a race or you get too far away from home, so you know how to fix them. If you're at home, I like to use a floor pump. All right, I'm pumped up. I like to run my tires just around 100 pounds. For the roads that I ride on, it's a comfortable ride. The tires seem to ride well across the road surface that I'm on all the time. You want to be cautious about running your tires either too low or too high. Every rim is rated to a tire pressure as well as every tire. And if you exceed that, you can get into a situation where you have some sort of a catastrophic blowout, which could cause a crash. When you're braking, a rim heats up. As that rim heats up, the air inside the tire can expand, and you can easily exceed your tire pressure. If you ride where the roads are hot because of the sun and the radiating heat off of the road, the tire will increase that tire pressure, and you can exceed your tire pressures and get some sort of a blowout. Don't let anybody tell you that you always want to run your tires at max pressure. There's a lot of rider preference to that. So I'm pumped up, tire is well seated on the rim, and I'm ready to put it back in my bike and get back on the road. My wheel is back in. I want to make sure that the chain goes on right. Shouldn't be a problem if you have your chain in line. I want to make sure that my rear skewer, my rear quick release, is firmly but not too tightly seated. I'm up here. Tighten your brake back down. Make sure you got adequate brake pressure, and ready to hit the road again. There you have it. A roadside tire repair. Not too much needed. You want to make sure you have some of this gear with you at all times. Most people don't ride around with a floor pump, but make sure you got your CO2, know how to use it, at least one tire lever, a spare tube, and shouldn't take you more than 2 or 3 minutes total to get that tire fixed. Hope you enjoyed this. Keep training, and we'll catch up soon. Following this will be my weekly mileage.